What is going on, Shrimp Keepers? This is Rob with flipaquatics.com. I think everything's working. I was running a little bit behind. And so I'm still getting some things pulled up, so bear with me, but I did want to start it. Gotta get my chat popped up. But how is everybody's Wednesday going? I was struggling today. I was wondering what I wanted to talk about. I really didn't know, and I still really don't know. I don't know. I just don't know what I want to talk about. There's so much to talk about today. Well, there's so much we could talk about. Like Game of Thrones, for example. Game of Thrones has been crazy. I was reading some comments on it today, and people are really upset with how this season's going, which I won't spoil for anyone, and please don't spoil it in the live chat. I don't want anyone that hasn't seen it to get spoiled. But there's that going on. Apparently, I didn't mess with my camera setting. Let me do that real quick. It's always something. But this is episode 5 of Coffee with Flip, which is pretty sweet. Pretty proud that I haven't missed a week yet. That's an accomplishment on its own. And it is a coffee morning. This is coffee number 2. As you can notice, I have a different cup than normal. I forgot my cup in my van. And my van is on the way to Chicago. And why is it on the way to Chicago? Because we have an import order arriving tonight, which, I mean, that's going to be a ton of work in and of itself. Usually they don't get back till about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then this order is much bigger than the normal orders that we do. And so it's probably going to take 3 or 4 hours to unpack. It's going to be a little crazy. But we'll get into all that. I want to say good morning to everyone. Wait, okay. So Christopher was the first one here. He said good morning. Now Christopher, or Chris, he goes by Chris, told me how to pronounce his last name. And I believe I remember, but I don't know for sure. I used to say Burrell, and now he sounded it out for me. It's Burrell. I believe Burrell, which makes a lot more sense, to be honest. I don't know how I got it wrong before. But Christopher, again, hooked me up with a bunch of coffee. Big shout out to him. And yeah, and I need to say, let me go through it and say hi to everyone. Christopher's here. Keith P662, Red Bull versus coffee, and Red Bull wins. What? You are a madman. Brian Hart Metz is in the house. Coffee time. Britt Danfield. Jess Shrimp Granny's in the house. Good morning, everyone. Daryl Deemer's here. Florante, I think that's how it is. Florante Sonko is here. DHM00, Chillerish, Anthony's Fishy Friends, Reinhardt. So Shrimp Breeders in the house. Tons of people here. So big shout out to everyone. Turbo Fish, Fish Lover. Thank you guys for joining us on this Wednesday. So I have to be honest. 2 weeks ago, I did Coffee with Flip. And I don't know why. I'm sitting here looking at my list. I'm thinking about, man, it'd be terrible if I forgot what I said, the typical stuff. And in that moment, I completely, just got a little choked up. And so whenever that happens, now I'm like nervous to live stream. So I was sitting here for the last hour and I'm like, oh my God, live stream. And I think I was so caught up on the whole nerve thing that I couldn't really get into what I wanted to talk about. But there's a million things we could talk about. We could talk about the import order. I want to talk about the progress on the new building and what we've been doing here. Tons of stuff. But I do have some sad news. I told all the channel members this last week, and it's not good. It's pretty sad. My man Gio is our tilapia. He's been with us for about 5-6 years now. 5 years, I would say. And he did. He passed away not this last week, the week before on Thursday. And so it was one of those things that he really hadn't been eating well, and he just wasn't doing well. And we were trying to feed him different stuff. We were getting him different foods. We were doing water changes. We were treating him with medicine. We tried feeding him peas because he was just sitting on the bottom, and we thought maybe it was a swim bladder thing, and really nothing worked. And he died, and it sucked, and we knew it was happening. I actually tried to get him and force feed him some peas, which honestly stressed him out more. And I think that sped up his process of dying. He passed away the next morning. So, it sucks. But that's what it's like keeping pets. Like, you're going to go through that where they die and it's sad. And there's so many cool stories around Geo. If you guys don't know the story, we basically, just the quick version is a friend of mine got murdered. We were helping the family out, cleaning out his fish room. And in one of the pipes for the drainage line, there was this random little tilapia that was in there for probably 3, 4, 5 weeks. And I don't know how it survived, but we brought him back and we named him Geo after my friend that got killed. And he grew up and got big and it, he lived here for a long time. And we really liked him. All the little kids like feeding him, and he was always coming up to the service and eating. So it's sad to see him go, but that it definitely happens. Britt said, I'm in the same boat with my flower horn. He is still active, so I'm hopeful. Well, that's good. Yeah, Geo is gone. So it's sad, but it does happen. Twin Cities Guppies, aka King Lee's here. King, thank you for being here. King usually is a little late, and so it's cool that he's here on time. And so, yeah. But that's what happened. That's sad. There's a lot of good things that's happened. For one, we've done a lot of progress. Again, I was struggling with what I wanted to talk about, so I call this episode Progress and Vision. I figured that just leaves us wide open. But one of the things we're trying to do before we go over to the new building is really wrap up some projects. So we have a beta rack we're putting in. We have a 20 long rack that we just finished, and honestly, just tons of stuff going on. And so the new building is going actually really good. We finished the electrical. My dad's working on the electrical over there, and him and my cousin, they're wrapping that up today. I think the electrical inspector is coming over. I'm losing my breath. I'm talking too fast. But the electrical inspector is going over there today, I think around noon. So I'm going to go over there and shoot a video. And honestly, it's a lot. There's a lot done over there. We have the receptacles up top for lighting. We have the lower receptacles, and we basically have a receptacle, I think. And for receptacle, I mean plug. We have a receptacle every, I don't know, I think it's 4 feet. And so we're really set up. The only thing we don't have is we don't have receptacles in the middle of the walkway because we didn't know where we were going to put the tanks in the center of the room. We don't know if we're going to have a ton of seating. We don't know if we're going to have a living room type setting. We really don't know what we're going to do. So we're just kind of going above and beyond. We're going to insulate really good. And yeah, it's going to be good. I'm excited about it. What else is going on over there? I started getting quotes on tanks and kind of trying to plan that out. This is going to sound crazy, but what I think I'm going to do in the basement is, actually, let me ask you guys this. I'm really torn. I'm torn between going the breeding route, so like breeding a ton of shrimp, or going like full on wholesale. And so the difference would be we still would have the same amount of tanks, but instead of using them to like bring a ton of shrimp in and put them in the tank and then resell those shrimp, we would use them to bring a ton of shrimp in, put them in the tank and breed them instead of resell them right away. And so I personally I want to breed. And I know we're going to do breeding over there just because we're going to have the gallery. But I'm trying to think of what's the best impact for the hobby. Is it better for me to go the wholesale route and supply pet stores, which I'm thinking yes? Or is it better to go the retail side and not really focus on wholesale, but breed our shrimp and then make our product better for you all? Because at the end of the day, like if we're breeding stuff and we're ensuring that there's no chance of parasites and diseases because we're breeding it for multiple generations, then at the end of the day, like our customer, which, possibly could be you guys, is going to get a better shrimp. They're going to get a healthier shrimp that's originating directly from us. Now, granted, we probably will still import because there's no way we can fill the demand the way we want to fill demand. But I'm kind of wrestling with, do we just full on go retail and just be like awesome and breeding a ton and doing a lot? And I'll read some opinions. Everyone's saying do both, do both. Yeah, so I just don't know. Like it's an interesting thought, and it's like we're at a crossroad. So you can try both, and it's fine. But like, I don't know. Yeah, do you guys at least see where I'm coming from? Do you see that there's this decision, more or less, that has to be made? Do we want to breed? And we can breed a little bit, but I don't like. I guess like you guys are right. Like we could do half the room breeding and half the room wholesale, but then we're going to run into the same problem that we have right now. So you guys have seen the warehouse. Well, actually, I don't know if you have. Like it's been a while since we've done an update on the warehouse, but we have 35 ponds. We have 200 tanks. We import. I think in this import we're bringing in like, I don't know, 30,000 shrimp, 28,000, something like that. It's a lot of shrimp. And believe it or not, like we're going to bring those in. It's going to fully stock all of our tanks. And then we're going to sell them. And then in a month, we'll have to, like, soon as our quarantine's up in 30 days, we're going to have to bring another import in to fill the tanks that are leaving. And it's just like this constant juggling act of like being out of stock, being in stock, being out of stock. And it's we haven't been able to figure it out at this point. We thought when we added this big room behind me, like through this wall, that would solve our issue, and it didn't, which is a good thing. It just means that our sales are growing and we're getting bigger and bigger, and it's great and it's a good problem to have. But we have yet to be able to get to the point where we're like, oh, we have plenty of shrimp and we have enough to fulfill all of our orders for an extended period of time. So our biggest struggle, without sounding bad, our biggest struggle is the 30-day quarantine, because we have to hold everything that we get for 30 days. And when you get an import, you have to order X amount of shrimp for it to be worth it. So we have to have X amount of room to bring the import in. And then it has to sit there for 30 days to make sure it's healthy. And then we sell it. And then we have to have enough room to bring another import order in to fill the gaps of stuff we sold. And it's just like, whew, it's juggling. It is a big juggling act. So let's see what people are saying. Dustin Maisie said, my first coffee with Flip from Baymont, Texas. Love your channel. Getting my first order of cherry shrimp in tomorrow. Excited about what's to come. Well, Dustin, thank you so much for your first order. We really do appreciate that. And thank you for making it to Coffee with Flip. It's always good to have new people here. And I really do appreciate that. Mr. Fax Machine said, it's hard when any fish goes, but those random ones come along that just seem to tear your heart out when it goes. Very sorry for your loss. Well, thank you guys for all the well wishes for Gio. It does suck that he's gone, but you know, the dude's been suffering for probably about a month without eating, maybe even longer. And so it was time, but it is really sad when that happens. But as far as breeding and wholesaling and bringing in imports, here's what people are saying. William said, can't you do both, or cannot you do both? Joseph said, can't you test out both options? Yes. Shishi Bubble Nest said, wholesale will be faster turnaround for you breeding is more personal. Yes, that is true. So from a strictly financial standpoint, wholesale is going to be a quicker, like, get stuff in, quarantine it, sell it. Whereas breeding is like a long-term investment. And I could use this tank for an example, just as far as like breeding numbers. So this tank we set up, our idea for this tank was to do 1,000 blue bolts every month for a year. But what happened was we got the 1,000 blue bolts for this tank, and then they all started breeding. And I was like, oh, I really don't want to add more in there if everything's doing so great. And so this tank, we initially stocked with 1,000 blue bolts. We've sold some out of it just whenever we were low on stock. So I would say there's 800 blue bolts in there. And then they bred one time, and you could see like there's like little dots everywhere. There's tons of them all over here. I mean, there's tons of shrimp in there. I would say we have between 1,500 and 2,000 babies. And that's just from the first batch. Now those are all going to grow up, and eventually we'll either be able to keep them in there and let those reproduce, or we'll be able to sell them. And so like if a tank this size could produce 2,000 shrimp a year. We sell those shrimp at $10 a piece. Now that's not what they cost us. Like we're going to import them, but we sell them for $10 a piece. So 2,000 shrimp at $10 a piece, all of a sudden that's $20,000, which is a lot of money. Like that's a lot of money for anyone. And so if we have, say, 50 tanks like this, now granted, like, do we have enough room for that? Probably not. And the investment, like this tank alone, I believe it costs maybe $15,000, something like that. Once you do the aquascape and once you do, like, you throw in like the sump and all the plumbing and labor and everything that goes into it, say $15,000. But in a year, if you're having 2,000 babies, selling them at $10 a piece, all of a sudden you're making $5,000, which probably covers, $15,000 for the setup, $20,000 in sales. Now you have $5,000 profit. Now you have to add that into utilities. You have to put it into the food. All these things start playing into it, and you end up making a little bit. And then the next year, you do it again, and it could be a very profitable thing, but it takes a lot longer for it to happen. And we wouldn't necessarily do it for revenue, even though without money, without making money, you can't exist as a business. But we would do it literally to increase the quality of what we're providing to the hobby. So right now, like, imported shrimp, you can only make them so healthy. Now, Caridina is one thing, but Neocaridina is a completely different thing. Neocaridina usually have parasites. They almost always have some kind of sickness that we have to treat, and it takes a lot of manpower to go through 30 days of quarantine and making sure those stay healthy and making sure they're healthy when we send them, then guaranteeing those to our customer. If the customer has anything wrong, we replace them. And so all of a sudden, like, all the man hours that go into that, it's a lot. And so it'd be really, really, really nice to just breed something here that we know is healthy, know doesn't have any sickness, know that we don't even have to check it for parasites because we've already done that when we set the tank up, and then send it out, and it's going to do so much better for the customer. And so it's this struggle of what can we do to make the biggest impact? Because really, pet stores right now, that I'm sure the majority of people here, or maybe not here, but the majority of people in the hobby go to their pet store to buy stuff. They do not have a source for shrimp. There's really no good sources out there for wholesale shrimp. And so they're struggling, and they're eventually not going to keep them, which is going to stunt the growth of our hobby. And so it becomes this huge, almost like a juggling act, like, or I don't know, a weightlifting competition, which one outweighs the other? Like, I don't know. And I don't have an answer. And we could always do a test, like everyone's saying, Joseph and William, can't you do both? Can't you test both options? We could do 2 big walls of breeding tanks, and then all the other rows would be wholesale tanks. And then at least now the wholesale tanks are covering the expenses of the other tanks that aren't making any money. And then it's just, you balance. It's crazy. And so let's see what everyone else is saying. Nate, Higginbotham, or Botham, I don't know. Nate Higginbotham. That's a last name right there, people. He said, breed them. We trust your quality more. Tracy Walker said, breed. Wild Aquatics said, specializing in a few types is best. I 1,000% agree with you there. If we are going to breed, it's going to be like maybe blue bolts. Well, definitely blue bolts because I love them. But blue bolts, maybe royal blues, maybe fantasy blues, definitely crystal reds. And so there's a couple that we really would breed. And so that's probably what we could do is maybe test out 30 tanks, 30 big tanks, and breed maybe 4 or 5 types of shrimp, and really just get our inventory up, and then we could even offer them wholesale maybe. Let's see. Jess Shrimp Granny said, I've had a couple big special breeding tanks set up and then do wholesale for most of them. I'd have a couple big special breeding tanks set up, okay, and then do wholesale for most of them. Okay, so you would say maybe 75% wholesale tanks and then 25% breeding tanks. Like that. B. St. John is driving to Chicago with Chuck, picking up the import order. He's listening in. Shout out to Chuck and Mark for making that 13-hour round trip drive for me. I really do appreciate it. Shrimping with Jen in the house. Shout out to Jen. That's Jadwin Aquatics' wife. She's awesome. She's really on fire for the hobby. She said I like the hold, which I think she just likes it all. I'm fine with that. Would love to see a homebred venture personally. Mr. Fax Machine said, yeah, that's honestly, like, I definitely am going to do at least, like, no matter what, there's going to be breeding happening just because I need it. I want it. I thrive on it. And it's been too long since I've really focused in on breeding. Fish Lover said, I love the coffee with videos. Don't stop them. No, so I plan on this being a series for the long term. I at least want to finish out this year and then get some feedback. Maybe we'll do something different for next year. But you can count on this for at least the next 6 months. 7 months. 7 months, yeah. Fish Lover. So Shrimp Breeder said, once you figure out the art of breeding, you wouldn't have to import. Yeah, so you would think. Originally, I started off breeding, made a lot of mistakes, as all hobbyists do, and we literally couldn't keep inventory. We couldn't keep the stock of the shrimp. And right now, like, to give you an example, let's just use numbers. I'll just be completely transparent with everyone watching. We have an import. I'll actually, let me check. I'll check. That way there's no falsehood going on here. Have it pulled up right here. This is our import order. And I just do this for transparency. Not like, don't think that I want to brag, because I don't need to brag. I don't want to brag. I just telling you guys to be honest. We are importing 23,000. It's actually 22,750 shrimp, not including extra. He always sends 10% extra, which would be 2,275. Sometimes he sends 20% extra on some shrimp, just depending. So roughly, we'll say 25,000 shrimp. Of those 25,000 shrimp, we will be extremely lucky not to run out of shrimp within the next 6 weeks. So it arrives today. We'll quarantine it for 2 weeks. We'll start pre-sales, and then boom, in 2 weeks, in 4 weeks or 4.5 weeks, when quarantine ends, that's going to be like 2 weeks of just like crazy shipping. And then after those 2 weeks, we'll still have a decent amount of stock, but not enough. So we'll have to get another import in. And so say that we go through every 2 months, we're going through 25,000 shrimp. So that's times 6. Now you're at like 150,000. And that's with no growth. 150,000 shrimp. How many tanks would you have to have set up to breed 150,000 shrimp every year? And the answer is a lot. I mean, an absolute lot. I don't think with this building and the other building, we would be able to breed that many. I mean, maybe if we did it right. But you got to think, like, you have to have tanks that you're resetting. So you're changing the substrate of these tanks every 2 years. Breeders are dying and you're having to replace those breeders. It's a lot more of like, you need someone that's in there like all the time, focusing in on the actual genetics and making sure that the line isn't breeding too much interbred. It's actually getting new blood, and you're being very strategic about it. And so now you have to have someone that's really specializes in that. And I could do that, or Jeff could do that, but do we have that much time? And so hopefully the hope is that our business doesn't stay where it is today. The hope is that it will grow. And so maybe next year when we're having this conversation, now our demand is 300,000 shrimp every year, or even more. And so now all of a sudden you're where you're at. When you start breeding, it's a year turnaround from the time that you start the tank till you have shrimp to sell. And so now you're basically giving up a year of growth. And so it's really a lot goes into it. There's a lot of planning on our side, and there's a lot of like decision making. And it really comes down to what's best for the hobby, what's best for what we can afford. So there's a lot of things that play into it. But let's see what more people are saying. Florante Sonko said, set a small group of tanks aside for breeding only as a test. Yep. Shishi's Bubble Nest said, I think you should breed personally. Just Shrimp Granny said, welcome to the Shrimp Fam at Dustin Maisie. Dustin, thank you again for being here. Martin said, I vote breed. Tracy said breed. Marit said breed them. So yeah, a lot of people are going with breed. Now let me catch up a little bit. I know I missed some stuff. Let's see. I did miss a super chat. Big Wiggums dropping a super chat said time to flip out with our shrimp out. little inappropriate. But I do like it. So thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I really do appreciate that. And I really do appreciate everyone joining in and being a part of the conversation. Fish Lover said, breeding was your dream or fast money? ? So breeding is my dream. My ultimate dream is to change this hobby. So again, we come back to the conversation. Yeah, like would I enjoy breeding more? Absolutely. Like I hate getting in sick shrimp and having to nurse them back to health and seeing them die and seeing some live and seeing some with parasites that you can't do anything for. And then you have to quarantine them. And then we're trying to find new medicines and like all this stuff. Like I don't enjoy that. Not in the slightest. I would much rather be able to go out into my warehouse and like look at tanks and be like, oh my gosh, look how many babies. Like I look at this tank all the time and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love looking in there and seeing babies everywhere. Like you can just see them. Like that is the hobby for me. Like that's what I love. And that's what I want for all of you. And so if I make sacrifices so that you can have stuff like this, then it's worth it. So never confuse fast money and money with what we're trying to accomplish here. Like I've had this conversation, we've done 5, this is episode 5. I've probably had this conversation out of 2 of the last 4 episodes. Like if I had no money, I would be just as happy as I am today. Like money literally means nothing to me. The only thing money does for me is it allows me to do more. I don't make all this money and go buy a nice house. Like I still drive my dad's van for his business, and I personally don't own a vehicle. Like because I don't care. Like a lot of people my age, not to like point the finger at them, a lot of people my age care so much more about representation or how they're perceived. And I have friends that go out there and spend all their money on a lease for a nice car, and they live with. I don't want to say that because someone might think I'm talking about them, but then I will say it anyway. Then they live with their parents, like, and then they get into debt up to their eyeballs, and like it happens all the time because they're trying to be perceived this way when in reality they should just be content being down here. And so I'm content being here because belongings mean nothing to me. They mean nothing. Like I got my wife, I got God, I got my family, I got my friends, I got people that I love working with every single day, and that's all I need. Like the thing that I would miss most if this business was gone today is working with Jeff and Tyler every day and having my wife come here. She's been working with us, and that's what I would miss. I would still have this community on here. I would still have all of you. We would still have the conversations, and it would be great. I would also miss the impact. Like I love that we're able to make a difference. Like that's fun for me. And so I could talk all day about that kind of stuff. Like never well, I mean you guys can think what you want, but I'm telling you, like money means nothing to me. It means absolutely nothing. And yeah, I just don't care about it. Do I want to make more of it? Absolutely, because then I can do bigger and better things. Like instead of pocketing a bunch of money, guess what I'm doing? I'm expanding. I'm doing a gallery, and I'm gonna in the basement. Like I've already decided it's gonna cost a ridiculous amount of money. Hopefully, I can get like a sponsor that really wants to get behind us and really help out with making this reality. But in the basement, I want to do like an absurd amount of 125 gallons. Like I want it to be row after row after row of 125 gallons that we can either use for holding or breeding. And every tank, like, I don't know, a 125 wholesale price is like, say $300, brand new. And I'm thinking we're going to need like 100, maybe up to 150 to fill that whole space. Now, if you just use the 100 and you buy them wholesale, which is roughly $300, that's $30,000 just in tanks. It doesn't include the labor, doesn't include the racks, the lighting, the electricity. You need another RO machine. Like all of a sudden, you're spending like $150,000, $200,000 to make your dream a reality. Like I'd much rather see money go towards that. My wife's going to kill me by saying that. She would much rather, get a nice plot of land in the country, build a nice house, put a barn out there, have 1 million chickens and goats and everything like that. Where I'm just like, I just want to keep going. Like I don't want to stop. And I'm sorry I'm not reading too many comments. I apologize. Let me catch up and see what everyone's saying. But yeah, I'm just here. Like I'm here for the journey. Like I'm here for the adventure. Like I love this stuff. So Shrimp Reader says, if you want to change the hobby, you have to breed. Anybody can import. Think about that. Yes, anyone can import, and no one does it right. No one takes the time to make sure the shrimp are healthy. No one takes the time to hold the shrimp for 30 days. Like holding shrimp for 30 days is the most, like it is the hardest thing because live animals die. And like 23,000 shrimp, like just imagine what that cost. Like shipping and picking it up. Like I'm sending Chuck and Jeff. They're driving 13 hours today to go pick it up. And then our whole team is staying here till like 3 o'clock in the morning to put them away. And then we have to medicate them and we have to check on them twice a day and make sure they're healthy. Like all these things, like most importers want to make that money back as fast as possible. They're going to get those shrimp in. They're going to try to do those pre-sales. They're going to try to ship them out the next week before they start dying, get them out of here, and just make that money. Like that's what importers are trying to do. And we're not doing that. We are making sure these shrimp are healthy and we are doing what's right. And we are guaranteeing the health of our animals. People contact us all the time. They're like, oh my gosh, my shrimp started dying. I know it's been like 2 weeks and we only have 5 out of 20 shrimp left. And most companies are like, well, our DOA policies, the first, 2 hours after delivering them. We're like, no, let's figure out what's going on. Like, is there something wrong with your tank? Are you doing something wrong? Like, okay, this is right. That's wrong. Let's fix this. Let's send you some live bacteria. Let's do this. Let's put some snails in there to make sure the bioload's good. And then let's send you new shrimp for free because we want to see you succeed. And so no importer is doing what we're doing. And I wish they would. I wish everyone would rise to the equation. Or rise to the occasion, not equation. My wife will laugh at that one too. But yeah, so we are doing it right. We are setting the standard. And like setting the standard. That's what it says. Because no one else is doing it. You know how many importers are out there that don't say they're importers and they just sell shrimp and they don't say whether they're USA bred or imported? Like those are the people we have to worry about. You know how much scrutiny we get every day? You know how many people don't like us because we're importers? When you go to our website and you purchase shrimp, you have to select imported shrimp. And there's a big warning that says these could contain parasites. These could contain disease. They could contain this, although we guarantee that they don't. And if they do, we will make it right. Who does that? And who's going to do that for pet stores? No one. And so, again, we come back to the conversation of if no one else is going to do it, then shouldn't we do it? And it's not about money. It's not about scaling all those things. Like those are great things, but like what? Like it's easy to say breeding shrimp is how you change the hobby. And that's easy to say because obviously USA bred shrimp done properly is the best shrimp that you could buy. But is that just going to change my business? And how many people do I affect? Like how many people actually buy from us? Like if are we 10% of the market? Are we 50% of the market? Like what is our reach? And if we're only worrying about ourselves, isn't that a little greedy? shouldn't we give other businesses options too? And so think there is tons and tons of thought that goes into this. It isn't a decision that you just make in a live stream. Like, yeah, I'm going to do this. It's a great thing to get feedback from people that support us, that truly support us. Like, if you're here, either you hate us or you love us. Like, there's no people that just randomly stumble upon this and like, oh, this guy's interesting. Like, shrimp is kind of cool. Like, everyone here is either supports or hates us. And how you know that is before I even started my live stream, 30 minutes to go, 30 minutes to launch, there was 2 dislikes on the video. That means 2 people randomly clicked on the video just to dislike it. Like, so there's definitely people out there that hate us, and it's fine. Like, that's cool. Like, teach their own. I do have to say this: the fish nerd, Carlos, one of the best people that I know, great guy, dropped a $5 super chat, and he said this: too legit to quit. So, Carlos, thank you so much. I appreciate you tuning in today and being here, and I appreciate everyone else tuning in. We're not done yet. I do want to see what everyone else is saying because I keep getting on these tangents. But let's get through this. Let's go through this, and it's gonna be good. I'm really excited for the future. I'm really excited for the future of my channel, Flip Aquatics, because you would be amazed, absolutely amazed, how many people buy buffering substrate. That means substrate that reduces or brings down the pH in the tank. So like Blue Gold Shrimp Stratum, Brightwell, Rio Oscuro, Rio Cafe, the stuff that I have in here, 88 Amazonia. And then they put cherry shrimp on it. To me, it's like, what? Like, why would you do that? But to them, they're thinking shrimp soil, getting shrimp. And so there needs to be videos out there that explain, this is how you do it. And I know there's a lot of great YouTubers out there that are breeders of shrimp and really passionate hobbyists. But the truth is their audience is too small for those videos to be seen. And so I feel like it's my responsibility, even if the video doesn't do good, because when you're a YouTuber, you struggle with content. Like, do I put this video out that I know is going to do really good and give me lots of subscribers? Or do I put this video out that isn't so good, but it serves a really good purpose? And the people that do find it are really going to appreciate it. And so I feel like it's my responsibility in the position that I am, with the audience that I have, to really get back to education. Like, this is exactly how we set up a tank for success. If you do it like this and you buy shrimp from us, we will guarantee that you have success. So those types of things, I really, really, really need to get back to, because it's just necessary. Like, education is everything. When you're not educated, you really can't make good decisions. And that's not a broad statement. That's like, if you're not going to be educated on shrimp, you can't make good decision when it comes to shrimp keeping. And so that's just one of those things. Jack LaMountain. I love that name, LaMountain. It reminds me of Game of Thrones, which we haven't talked about at all, but that's okay. I did really want to talk about it because I love Game of Thrones. And I love, and I'm so sad for this last episode because I know something bad's going to happen, but we'll see. Jack LaMountain dropping a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support. And feel free to always drop a comment with your super chat. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you have to say. But I really do appreciate that. Yeah, and so shrimp breeders, no worries at all. I know you don't hate me. We're all in this together. We're all here to further the hobby. And yeah, I mean, there are people that hate us, but I don't think they would. Well, some of them make it public. Is what it is. Well, let me do this. I say a lot. Don't go back and count how many times I said because I'm sure it's a lot. But I do say it, and I realize it sometimes, and then it messes up my train of thought. But it's all good. I did want to say this for everyone that has become a channel member. Thank you for deciding to support us and get behind our dreams and really be a part of what we're doing. I see all the people in the chat dropping super chats, and that's so appreciated. Thank you for doing that. It's above and beyond. But above all else, if you guys are going to drop a super chat, consider just becoming a member. I think it's $4.99 a month. It might change from the country you're in, but consider being a member. And it's not for the money side of it, again, because money is just a tool. It just enables us to do bigger and better projects. It's not necessary, but what is necessary is support. We can't do this alone. My vision for this hobby, my vision for the community that we have is so big. It's so big. And I can't do it just me. I can't do it just Jeff and Tyler and Amanda and Mark and Chuck and all the people that are in my life. It takes all of us. To change this hobby, it takes so much more. It takes people like shrimp breeders, breeding and educating, and so many other YouTubers out there, Mark Shrimp Tanks and Lucas Bretts and even some of the people in here, the Fish Nerd. It takes people like that are giving good information and educating people and moving this community forward to really change the hobby. And it all starts now. It starts with us. And so many, I could go down this rabbit hole too. So many people think they're too small to make a difference. And I'm here to tell you that even you becoming a member is you making a difference. Every single person that gets behind us and supports us is another person that becomes a soundboard for us to really educate people and give us feedback and let us know what we're doing right and keep us accountable when we do things wrong. And so every person that decides to become a member, you are becoming a part of this team to really change this hobby, and we appreciate you. And so thank you to everyone that's decided to become a member. All of you, we really do appreciate you. If you guys didn't know this, we do these live streams every week. It's called Coffee with Flip. And all the even weeks, so like episode 2 and 4, we're just with people that are members of the channel. And so if you want to become a member of the channel, you will never miss an episode of Coffee with Flip unless you choose not to watch it, which would be fine. It's up to you. But yeah, so that's just my little pitch about channel membership and what we're doing here. I did want to answer a question from last week. Where is it? Gregory Faubert. I don't know if that's how you say his last name. He'll correct me, I hope. But we're going to say Gregory Faubert because it sounds good. He asked me what food type for shrimp. And I just want to be completely clear. This isn't a sponsored thing. I have swore by Bacter AE since I started shrimp keeping. Maybe not since I started shrimp keeping, but ever since I started my business, even before that, this was a food that changed everything for me. So this is our #1 shrimp food until a better product comes out, which I have not found yet. So this is still #1. Now, as far as your everyday foods, because this is not everyday food. It's not a complete food. It's more or less a supplemental food. I mean, if you really wanted to, I guess you could make it a main food, but I wouldn't recommend it. This is a good thing to feed once, twice a week. You need to have a main food. So I just grabbed this one because this is what I feed the blue bolts behind me. It's been a product that we've been really testing out in there. I feed it like 2 to 3 times a week. It's EBI Tengu. It's a fairly cheaper food compared to some of the other ones. And we've had really good results. It also has, where is it? Right there. It has a pumpkin line, which is basically just dried pumpkin. And it's a cool food. I like the premise of it. I like the color of the packaging. I think it's really neat looking. But the truth is, like, the shrimp eat it, but it sits in the tank for a while. It takes them like a week to eat. But since it's pumpkin, it really won't foul the water. And so so this is what I'm using right now. And I guess the moral of the story is whatever you use, whatever works, stick with it. Don't fall into the idea of this is the newest best food. This is the newest best food. Get this one. Get that one. Get that one. Just do one and see if it works, and keep doing it. So this is working for the blue bolt tank, so I'm going to keep feeding it to the blue bolt tank. There's tons of other great options out there. MK Breed is another great food, but their supply chain sucks. And I'll say that publicly because I've been trying to reorder MK Breed foods for 2 months now, and MK Breed has yet to respond to my request. And that's with me like sending them an email every 2 weeks. And it isn't like it's a little order, like it's a monster order. And so so MK is a great food, but they suck at supply chain. Shrimp King is another example, like really great food. Love Chris Lucup, great guy, great food. A little expensive, pretty expensive, but it is good stuff. But again, supply chain, terrible. Like, they were out of stock of Shrimp King Complete and Shrimp King 5-in-1 for the past 7 months, something like that. They recently just got an order in, and it's great, but then it's going to be out of stock again for another 6 months. Hopefully not, but it's possible. And so those are two foods that we might not be able to supply anymore just because, like, they can't get the logistics figured out. So I'm hoping, I'm praying that there will be a company eventually that produces a good quality food that can supply it at a reasonable price, and that we can just stick with. So there's that. Sorry for a little tangent. So the moral of the story is feed what you feed. Stick with it. If it works, it works. Even if it's Northfin food. We feed all of our cherries and all of our Neocaridina Northfin Community, Northfin Veggie, and Northfin Kelp wafers. And it's a great food, and it works perfect, and they love it. So do what you do, do what you do, and do what you do. Don't let anyone tell you this is the better food, this is the greatest food, because what works. Like, I'll tell you right now, like, this works great, and that's what I'm going to keep feeding this tank. And then other tanks like other stuff, and that's what I'm going to feed those tanks. But yeah, I mean, if I could have it my way, there's certain foods that I really love, but again, supply chain is bad, and so it's hard to get it. So yeah. Bacteria AE is the one that I will always swear by. Shrimp Fit, aka beta glucan, is also a really good one. That's good for when you first get shrimp, and it just helps boost their immune system. Brian's Fish Tanks dropping a $5 super chat, said, I'm already a member, but I'll still drop a super chat. Thank you, Brian, for the support. Really do appreciate it, man. You've been a huge supporter, and I've been a fan of your channel ever since I started on YouTube. You were one of the first people I started watching, so that's a cool story. And eventually, I'm gonna come up there, and I'm gonna do a tour of your place, and it's gonna be cool. But yeah, so love you guys, love everything you guys are doing. Love the community, love the support. The love always outweighs the hate every day. But know that we have a lot going on. We have some big things going on, and we have some big decisions to make, and we need your guys' help with those decisions. So consider being a channel member and helping us come up with some of the solutions. Speaking of channel member, Mr. Fax Machine dropping a channel membership. Thank you so much, Mr. Fax Machine. Happy to have you on board and be a member of the channel. Thank you for doing that. There's a link down in the description where you guys could join and become a channel member, or you can find it on our homepage, and it says join or next to the subscribe button. We appreciate anyone and everyone that becomes a channel member. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey. I'm so excited to talk to you guys next week, and there will be more videos to come. So you guys make it a great week, and wish me luck on this import order. It's going to be a doozy. You guys have a great week. I'll talk to you guys soon.